So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This is the session 3 of the Blue Circle, and I'm very, very excited that we have reached this milestone today. Just to give Dr. Norma as well a quick recap and a reflection on what we have done in the last 2 sessions. So session 1, we had just an introduction to the plastic crisis where Dr. Ash just heard out some of the key questions that came out of all the youth leaders regarding the plastic pollution and what can be done about it. In session 2, we tried to answer some of those questions that came up and looked at how can we translate dialogues into actions. And today we are going to be looking at one of the most important things that is needed when we look at solving such a global problem, and that is policy making. So today we'll be looking at the role and importance of policy making and implementation, and how we can even develop policies right scratch to how we need to follow up and implement the same. So we have the very wonderful Dr. Norma with us, and who better than Dr. Ash to introduce Dr. Norma? So Dr. Ash, I request you to take the floor to introduce.
Absolutely, I'd be delighted. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Dr. Norma, who's a great friend and part of our family. It would be injustice to say that Dr. Norma is a friend alone. She's really a part of our family. She's a renowned scientist, an oceanographer, biologist, and has spent her lifetime and her career sort of advocating for ocean issues. She's a professor and has been working for over 4 decades now with Instituto Politécnico Nacional, which is in short called IPN, which is the second largest national institute in Mexico. But they have locations in different parts of the world. Dr. Norma has worked and studied and did her doctoral studies in France, and IPN has institutions in different parts of the world, including in Spain. So she kind of often spends time in Europe as well. She's been working with the pop movement more or less since we initiated work on the movement soon after, and is based in Mexico. So she's been working closely with us. I also want to highlight that her role specifically on the issue that we are going to talk about today, which is policy, you'll find interesting because she's president of the Council on Climate Change in the Republic of Mexico. And so she has a critical role in terms of driving the policies of the country. And of course, as you know, Mexico has a very large young population and a large population in general, which is growing, but has tremendous influence in Latin America and also in the Americas in general. So I think she'll have an important perspective to share with us here today, and she's going to talk to us about public policy and particularly policy making. And I think, Dr. Norma, what I want to underscore is that one of the critical areas that we're interested in looking at within the Blue Circle family as we get together here is really how we might bring together the issue of public policy making, how young people can have voice in this issue and drive this issue. And we know that, youth have a key role to play in driving policies today, but also to see how that public policy making comes together with interventions on the ground. And a lot of the young energy we have in the room here today has been focused on critically thinking about the issue of plastic pollution in particular. So we're really excited to A, welcome you, and B, to hear your perspective and your experience, which I know you'll bring in from the Mexico geographic focus and point of view, but I know will have implications for public policy making around the world and for youth globally. So thank you and a big welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Ash. Well, yes, if you want me to start with the presentation, the first thing that I'm going to tell you is,
Dr. Norma, I think we won't kick off the presentation quite yet. Let me just check with do we have a quick recap, or
Okay.
how did you want to do this? And then we'll give you a quick alert as
Okay.
soon as we're ready to start the presentation, and we have it downloaded, so we'll start to share screen.
Good.
Let us know,
Excellent.
how quickly or slowly we should move through slides.
Right.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Norma. So what we can do is we can start off with the presentation so that
Okay.
then we can have the time for the youth leaders to interact with Dr. Norma and
Okay.
then take the dialogue further. So
Wonderful.
Dr. Norma, if it's all right, I'll just share the screen so that I can present.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Norma. Great.
Thank you, Ash.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Is it visible?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
that's
perfect.
good.
So Dr. Norma, you can take the floor. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you again for the invitation. I'm gonna speak to you about how to make policies, public policies. That is a very important issue when you are talking about the problem that you have, like the plastics. And my case study is regarding the national policy of seas and coast that we made in Mexico. And I'm going to share with you how long can be to develop a policy, or how difficult it can be, and what you need to have in hands to, I don't know, you can develop a policy, you can push a policy, you can design a policy, whatever you need to do with a policy, public policy, you can make it. But it's a way that you need to follow, and it's a decision. We can go ahead, please. The first thing that I want to say is, I'm sure that you know, you already were reading about what is a policy, what is a public policy. Normally, we think that we can take decisions and the civil society can do it. You can be so well prepared, you can have so very good academic career, you can have all the desire to do something, but finally a policy is something that belongs to the government. And it's written here, a public policy in a very short sense is what the government decides to do, to make, to apply. In response, or a political issue or a problem that you have, like the plastics, like we had with in Mexico, we have a very big country, a large country, and we didn't have any policy regarding oceans and regarding seas and coast. Then you need to have a problem. And when you are talking about politics, of course, it's a matter of maintaining, managing, or gaining control from the government. Always the government play a role, a very important role in public policies. Then finally, in another more larger sense, you have a system of law, you have measures, you have actions, you have funding priorities, because if you have a policy, of course, you need to have money to apply the policy. And that comes to be another problem, because it depends of the government. And always you need to have a given topic, political topic, a problem of the life, the real life, a problem in your country, a problem that you want to make a solution. And then you have the political will that normally plays a very important role. If you don't get a political will, the best policy you make will not work. Then that should be clear for you. Public policy is always related to the government, and you need to learn to deal with the government every time you need to apply a policy. We can go ahead, please. Then what we decided to do, and we started in 1995, and you're going to see how long can be the way that you need to work on. As public council, we had a council, a Sustainable Development Council. And that was a result of the summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, when they decided that the civil society had a role to play in all the environmental issues that we had around the world at that time. And they decided to make this council, and the countries who took a commitment at that time, they prepared people to work in this council. Mexico did it 3 years after Rio de Janeiro. And you have a national council and you have a regional councils. Why? Because Mexico is a very large country and you have all the territory covered by this council. Will you go ahead, please? Then I will talk about historical development of this policy. Is the process of construction of a public policy for the sustainable management of seas and coast in Mexico. Yeah, you can go. This is my country. You can see it. You see the, yeah, okay. This is Mexico. We have the United States here, and we have the Central Americas here on the bottom. And you have you had at that time 5 regional representations in that council. You have the Northwest, the Northeast, the Center, the South, Peninsula Yucatan, and this Pacific Center, you have the other region. And you had different sectors. At that moment, you had academics, social, business, NGOs, the state, the government, because always government should be inside, and the legislative chamber. And for the national representation, the National Council, you have for each of one of the states, we are a republic, we have 32 states, you have one member of that council, you have a president, you have technical secretariats, then it means we have the ministers of each ministries in Mexico, and you have what we call principal groups, included all of these young people, because they came after indigenous people, women that were the groups that they were less represented in this council. We go again, we go ahead, please. And then we start to build up what we needed. What we needed to know to build up a policy. And we needed to know how it was the situation in Mexico regarding the seas and the coast. Then, after Rio de Janeiro, 10 years after Rio de Janeiro, the summit of Johannesburg in 2002, Mexico had a very strong participation. Why? Because in this summit, the ocean issue was absent. We didn't have anything about ocean or coast in the agenda of this summit. Then we decided as a Mexicans to work in this workshop that we call it Coastal Sustainability. And we made 2 workshops, one in the north of Mexico, one in the south, and the difference in kilometers between these 2 regions is something about 5,000 kilometers. And we did that in the opposite way. I mean, the people from the north went to the south and the opposite, and we made the workshop, and very, very strange. I mean, it's strange because it's people who knows exactly the country, the results of the situation, how they were taking the situation was exactly the same. The people from the north and the south, they knew exactly the problem that Mexico had. Then we decided to do that workshop. We give some results. We have a small booklet, and we talked with the president of Mexico at that time to tell him, you need to go to that place. You need to position the issue of oceans because Mexico is asking for that. And finally, they did it. The next, please. And then after Johannesburg, where the civil society was already involved in all the decisions in Mexico about this, we decided to make a book. How much we knew about Mexico in all fields regarding the coastal areas. Governance, production, environmental situation, everything that we should know who was, who had it, who did it. And then This book that you see here, The Coastal Management in Mexico, was a very successful book. It was the first. We had the second one. It's about 400 pages book. People wanted to write down in this book even environmental education that was very important regarding coastal zones. And that was a contribution of the civil society. Everyone could write down something here, and that is very important. We go ahead, please, Priya. What was our problem? That is a very, very beautiful picture. I love it because it's a design that we make to show how many ministries can take a place, that can take a role in a decision for a project. Can you imagine? Each one of the dots here is a ministry. You have at least 10 in Mexico, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 ministries, okay? And every activity that you have here, you can have tourism, for instance. You have 6 ministries that have something to say regarding a decision to make or not a project. It can be so complicated, or like this, when you want to build the road lines, the train roads. In Mexico, it's not so famous. We are not so much trains. They are really old. We don't use it anymore. But if you go to the agriculture field, take a look how many ministries decided on a project. What was our problem in the coastal area? That, let's say somebody wanted to build in a touristic place like Cancun, Quintana Roo, the Caribbean area, want to build up an hotel. Then, to build up an hotel, you need the road, you need to take out the forest, you need to build, you need to put materials and so. And if one ministry gave the authorization of the project, and the Ministry of Environment say, oh, no, wait a minute, because that is not good, you will damage fauna, flora, water, etc. The first one who said yes was like, I got it, I don't say anything more, and I will build up my hotel. And we, as a civil society, we said, okay, that will not happen anymore in Mexico. You need to have a decision by consensus. Who is involved in the project needs to have a decision. And then the council said, years after, no one and nobody can make a project without the advice of the council. Even if the ministers, they say yes, the council had the last word. Yes, okay, yes, or not is not possible. And this council was working for more than, I don't know, it started in 95. I went out from the council, I was in 98, and the council was not it's not disappearing, but simply it's not working anymore. It's like you don't have it anymore, you know? And that is a policy, that is a political will. Then in 2007, I decided to go out because it was a long time working for that, and I have other commitments. But until now, we don't have any more that kind of work in the councils. They disappears because you don't have any more work. Then that was our problem for the politics. We pushed to make a commission with all the ministries. And that commission, still until now, is we call it CIMARES. We can go, please. Okay. That was the first document that we had as a council together with the Ministry of Environment. That was the National Policy for the Sustainable Development of Oceans and Coasts in Mexico. That was in 2006. And the problem with this policy was at the time that was only since the environmental point of view. That was a big problem because when you are talking about sustainability, you have 3 pillars. You have the economic area, the social area and the environmental area. And this policy was focused directly to the environment, only environment. And they didn't think, because we didn't do this one. I will show you what we did as academics. It was done by the Ministry of Environment, and we had a participation as a council. We go ahead, please. What is very interesting is that policy had an official presentation in 2006, and was the basis, the document that we always was taking in the decision making about coast and seas. You can see in the national presentation. Okay, we go ahead. What is very interesting is that policy, together with the ordinance of the old coast and seas in Mexico, was for the first time presented in the world. I mean, in the world, because the ordinance started very early in my country. The ordinance that we call it now the Marine Spatial Planning. Before it was Marine Ordinance, they changed the name, but it finally is the use of the territory, how you use it, what you can do, where you can do, what you need to protect, etc. And we start to go around the world showing the experience that Mexico had regarding this policy. We went to Portugal, we went to UNESCO in Paris, we went to Unique Polos in United Nations to show how Mexico was working in ocean policy, in ocean issues. We go ahead, please. We went even to Australia. That was unique example to work on the issues of policies. And finally, we went to London. You can go again, please. Okay. You will see, yeah, it's okay, don't worry. The other one is, you can go back, please, a little, Priyanka, to the other, okay. As I told you, the first document that we sent to Johannesburg was with the President of Mexico. And this strategy to work in Mexico was born in 2007 and was accepted and was launched by the President of Mexico at that time, was Felipe Calderon. And in that meeting where we are is the civil society that presents as a speaker the model that I'm going to show you now to develop this ordinance of the coastal areas in Mexico. We go now ahead. Normally, when you have a project, it's the government who called you to do something for them, to build a policy, to build a project, etc. But what the civil society decided to do is to go to follow the method of bottom-up, means that the project was born by the civil society, by decision of the civil society, by the council that was all together. And we start to work with the civil society, with the academics. And finally, from 2000 until 2007, we finished with almost all the coast ordinance in Mexico, except the Central Pacific, that until our days is not done. We go ahead now. This is what we brought to London, okay? That is the successful Mexican experience regarding good practices for a national policy. We go ahead. That is a lot of work that you need to do. And people frequently was asking us, why you want a policy? Why do you need a policy? Well, you need a policy because Mexico, as in many countries, at least 12 countries in the world, is a mega diverse country. We have a lot of things. We have bays, coastal lagoons. You can see 164 in 11,500 kilometers of coastal line without the islands. I mean only the country, the continental area of Mexico, you have 11,500 kilometers. And that is a lot to take care, a lot to see what is going on. And only to give you an example, the Gulf of California has more than 900 islands, different sizes. Then it's a huge problem with Mexico. Coral Reef, we have the second largest in the world after the Grand Barrier of Australia. And then, of course, we have a lot of places with natural protected areas. We said, okay, this is on the table that we have, and our obligation as a Mexican is to take care of this for the future generations. We go ahead, please. And of course, we have working with us, stakeholders, and we show the activities and the sectors. You see how many activities, different activities you can have in the coastal area. Normally people, when they think coastal area, they think on the seaside, on the beaches to go to for holidays, but they never think about how many activities you can get, like unfortunately, the maritime transport that we see now, that we have a lot of troubles with the oil spill, the accident that we had in the last month. You have the fisheries, and you can have the fisheries on the open ocean and the fisheries in the coastal area with a small, we call it cooperative, because the people is working together in small fisheries. And you have the ports, you have transportation, you have the fishing, the sport fishing, and you have indigenous groups that they are, of course, protecting their territories. Today, a lot of industries and a lot of business are taking out all the territories from indigenous people, and Mexico is not the exception. We go ahead, please. And other economic activities that you can have, for instance, the tropical fruits, because we are a country we are not in the Ecuador, but in the intertropics. And you have, of course, cattle, and you have fisheries, aquaculture, mariculture. And this is the development that now people wants to have on the coastal area. You put golf areas, you put the big elements of hotels, you put aquaculture that is getting all the territory of the people. Instead of to have production, agricultural production, they take out all the forest or all the tropical forest, and so to produce shrimps, for instance. But what happened after? When you don't have any more that aquaculture, you lose everything. You lose territories, you lose soil, you lose everything, and you have a very desertic area. And of course, we go ahead. We had, of course, risk, conflicts, and problems. And here you can see that we were talking already about pollution that you are working on, pollution with the plastic that is a tremendous issue now around the world. Even if the people say, well, yeah, but we have a plastic that are not so harmful that others, plastic is a plastic. And we found not a long time ago, a bottle of yogurt from 30 years ago, almost intact in a coastal area. And that is incredible. That shows that everything that they can say that is not so big problem, it is. It is, and the ocean is terrible. When you see the ocean, I always say, ocean is so big, is so large, is so blue, is so quiet, is so beautiful. But what is going down, that is going deep inside, is terrible situation. When you go, I don't dive because I don't do it, but I know exactly what is going on. Then you have overfishing, another problem. You have the invasive species that is a huge problem now, like the sea lion in the region, in the Caribbean region, because they destroy the endemic populations in wherever they go, and the transportation, etc., and the vulnerability to climate change. Nobody can escape to this. We all are touched by that. Okay. With this scenario, okay, we go ahead, please. In this scenario, how can we handle this complex system? This is a very complex system. You see, we put in the front the indigenous communities, that they are the less protected, that people take out everything from them and they don't have a voice, and they are, even in the countries, they are minimized, like in Amazonia area, like in El Salvador, like in Mexico. That is not exception also either. Then we have this, we had at the time this question, how we can handle this situation. Okay, we go. And in the same way that we were working for the other policy, this time, this policy that we started with the basis of 2000, and we finished in 2010, we started from academics. We had a contract in my institution to develop this policy. Of course, that the language of the first draft, the policy of coastal, seas and coast, was in an academic language, and they put it in a political language. But finally, the core of this policy was made by academics that they knew at that time, and since a long time before, how it was the situation in Mexico regarding this. Knowledge, when you make a policy, is very, very important. You need to know everything, the single situation, the smallest thing about coastal and oceans, you need to know, because it's a matter to work in a group, in collaboration. One person cannot do it by herself, itself, and so. Then we start to build up this policy that is the national policy, that now is already with a decree. And we go ahead, please. We say we was using the same model. And when we finished it, when the policy was had a publication by the Ministry of Environment, it was in 2011. And of course, we wanted to know, after the publication of the policy, what should be done. And for this reason, we have here the question. We needed to have, when you have a policy without a legal document, a legal instrument to apply that policy, is like we said, a dead letter. It's not working. This policy is not working if we don't have a coastal law. In Mexico, from 2012, when we made this, when we posed this question, Mexico until now has not a coastal law. That is incredible. And then we go again to the political will. Really, to the government of Mexico, is important ocean, coast, and seas. They really want to do something, because at that time we had all the ordinances almost done, except I said the Pacific and Central Pacific. And we had the guidelines, the national guidelines, and we wanted to work with national strategies and national programs. And we wanted to go down until state level and the county or local level. That was the meaning of this policy, to work all together in all levels of government. Okay, we go further. We put it again because when we made this question to the council and to the government, we had a commitment to finish with a national policy, and we did it. For that reason, you say, yes, we did it. What will be done after this is a matter of the government. Imagine we started in 95. My first proposal for the ordinance of the country was in 2000, and 20 years after 20,000, we don't have a law, coastal law. The policy was officially with a decree in the official Federation Journal in 2018. 7 years after had a publication in the Ministry of Environment. We work very slowly with the governments. That is a big issue. That is a big problem. And that is why you need, as young people, like Dr. Ash said already, you need to push, you need to raise your voices, you need to work together, you need to build up your desires about what you need to do, what you want to do, where you need to go, where you need to knock the door, to open doors, to convince the government, the Senate, the Chamber of Deputies that you need to take care, you need to take actions, you need to do something. We did it already. What the civil society can do is done. We cannot go further. And I'm still working, I'm still fighting, I'm still going to the Senate and to the Chamber of Deputies, I'm still giving conference in my country, but it's not moving. Okay, then with this, we're gonna finish. And my advice to you, because we were working for a long time, in a long way, that doesn't mean that you will do the same. Maybe you will succeed faster than us. I don't know. That is possible. But when they ask me what tools we need to develop policies, it's very simple. You need to have everything this, you put it in a blender, you drink it, and you will be the best in the world to making policies. But you need to push it to apply. You need to have, first of all, knowledge. That is very important. Education is so important. You need to continue with education. You need to continue to get in knowledge, even the non-formal knowledge. Take advice from the people that you know, the people who knows what it was, I don't know, India, the US, the Mexico, because that people is a waste people, really. You need to learn about that, not only in books, not only in the schools at the universities. We need to learn from life, the real life every day. Decision, determination, perseverance, confidence, courage, social awareness, very important. You need to have that feeling to help others, to do what you are doing for others, not only for your satisfaction that you are doing something. That is the last thing that we need to think. The first thing is how we can help others, how we can multiply our efforts, showing. Remember, we are like the fathers. I am like my dad and my mother teach me, and you will be exactly the same. The parents are very important because as an example for us. Then open mind. You need to be really open mind. You need to work in teams, not alone. The monodisciplinary work is already gone a long time ago, even at the universities. We need to share now equipment, people, knowledge to succeed in a project. Then solidity of thoughts. That is important. And principles and values, among other characteristics, is very, very important. I don't know in your country how it's going on, but in my country, when you make some workshops in small municipalities, what the people is asking is to go back to the principles and values. Young people is losing those principles and those values, and we need to take it back, and we need to show how to take it back. Because when I was little, a long time ago, I remember you need to sit well, you need to eat with the mouth closed, and you need to take the fork in this place, and you need to put your hands like this. And I said, oh my God, my mom, every time that I go to for lunch or something is, you need to do this, you need to do that. And finally, you see that that was good. But now, nobody cares how you eat, where you go, etc. And of course, experience. You will get experience with the time, with the work that is constant, permanent, and determination. The experience, you will get it in that way. Will not arrive like this alone. You see, I will get experience. How you gonna get it? You're gonna get it in that way. That is my advice. If you want to follow, welcome. If you have another ways to do it, is welcome, because you are a very innovative people. You're a group with a lot of ideas that maybe we didn't have because we didn't have the same situation. maybe we didn't have the same pressure with so many problems that we have now, the pandemic, the COVID, etc., that we are now inside the houses. And so that is a big lesson to humanity, that we have no right to take from nature everything what we want to take in order to be satisfied, to be happy or not. You need, and we need, because when I say you need, I always said, why me? I said, no, you need in the sense that everyone needs to take care of everything, and you need to think about that. I appreciate your invitation. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure that you have some questions. I'm here together with Ash to give you some answers if I have it. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you get something in your mind now. Thank you. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Dr. Norma. It was absolutely insightful and very, very inspiring to just hear the entire journey, something that we don't really learn either even in schools or even just trying to read articles. It's not the kind of insight that we usually get. And very interestingly, 2 weeks ago, I gave an activity to all of the youth leaders here where I asked them to explore the situation of the policies within their community, understand what kind of policies are being made up and how it's being implemented in their local cities or even in their housing complexes, buildings. And I'm sure this would have given them some sort of a parallel understanding of what goes into policy making and policy development. So
Okay.
I'll open the floor now to all of y'all. I'm sure y'all have listened to so many important points, from teamwork to the importance of stakeholders to knowing where you live, what is happening around you, all of it. So now I open the floor. Any of you can begin. You can raise your hand and you can just begin by putting your thoughts or questions to Dr. Norma and Dr. Ash. So anybody would like to go first? Please go ahead and you can raise your hand or unmute yourself if you would like. Anyone wants to go first? Maybe Presidency or someone?
I don't bite. I don't bite.
Absolutely not otherwise.
Yeah,
So
please
kind.
go ahead. Even if you think, yeah, but normally when you're at school where the professor says, "Oh, somebody wants to say something," nobody
Yeah.
and nobody
Yeah.
and everybody is going to the back. No, that is very common.
Yeah.
People is sitting always in the back because they're gonna ask me something.
I think one person has. Tuti, do you want to speak first? I think one person has. Yes, Tuti, you can unmute.
First of all, I would like to welcome Norma ma'am for the wonderful interaction with us, for interacting with us. Welcome for this.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I would like to know how can we form policy at the grassroots level, I mean in our society, to inspire people to take up further steps to, expand it. Like
How
I
we?
recently,
Yes. Go ahead.
I recently joined hands with an NGO called Hamari Pehchan, which is located in Delhi NCR. I mean, it's the capital of our country, India. So that NGO basically, works for the underprivileged women through it's the project Sukhat initiative. That initiative is basically for raising funds to, that the that initiative is for raising funds for Sukhat initiative, which distributes that for
I
underprivileged
think there's a
women.
slight disturbance in your audio. We're not
So,
Yeah.
I just want to know how can I appeal to people. I tried, various ways by preparing posters and by sending messages and appealing to requests. But there were some people who came forward to donate to that. So how can we, what can we do for people to appeal?
How we can do for people? What, Ash, please?
So, Dr. Norma, I think what she's asking is, first of all, how do we take the idea of policy implementation, policy making to the grassroots level? And how do we appeal to more and more people to join us, because civil society has such a huge role to play? So how do we appeal? So she has tried reaching out to people through posters, slogans, campaigns, but it's not always that effective. So how do we get more and more people to join us?
Okay. Well, I think that with example, what we need to do is to work on field. That is very simple. Imagine that we're going to have very soon the International Cleanup Day, okay? Then now it's a little difficult because we are inside, we are locked down, we are not going out. Then it's difficult because you cannot reach people. Little by little, we are going out, of course. But what always we were doing is whatever Congress or whatever organization of meetings, we were going together with the students. And that is something that you can do because you go to the places where you have a lot of people, you start to talk, and you went to the places where normally were not even academic meetings, and to make you, to show how you are working, what important is your work or the work of the people to get them involved, you need to go directly with them. The face-to-face talking is very important. I don't like very much the way that we are working now. Why I don't like it? We can be almost together. I say together, I mean together. I know that you are many 13,000 kilometers from me, but I am looking at you. I hope and I wish you can organize workshops in your school, in your neighborhood, with your family. Start with your family first, and then invite other people, and then make a circle of I want to present a book, for instance, no, a very important book, and you invite people in your neighborhood. And in that way, you need to work to involve more people. Not because you want to do it, because you need to show them why the problems, how they can. Normally, the civil society, a normal citizen, they think, me? I'm not responsible of the climate change. That is a natural response. And they did it. In Mexico, one professor from the university, the National University, made in the street, he was asking in the street to the people, are you responsible for the climate change? Me? Of course not. It's the government, because they don't do anything. It's my neighbor, because he's throwing away the water, cleaning the car in the street. Is the other colony, is the state of Yucatan, because they are very dirty people, you know? But as an individual, normally you say, no, I don't do anything for climate change. Climate change is for others. It's the United States, it's China, it's Russia, it's the more polluted countries in the world. But me, no. And that is a problem that you need to fix. That is very important. You need to go to people. You need to show them that the small action the people is making at home, that action can be harmful for the environment. That is so simple. How you use the water, how you use electricity, how you use everything at home. You have like a, I don't know, like a Christmas tree, your house every day. People is like that now. Take a look in the evening, walk in your neighborhood. How many lights are on in the houses? How many people you have? How they are using water? Even if you know that you have a very short amount of water in your colony. Then I invite you to do some kind of actions, meetings, small ones, bigger ones, to let them people know that they are they play a very important role in everything that we are suffering now. Human being is terrible. They say that we are an animal, of course, with a rational animal, but I think that the other animals are more rational than us. That is true. Okay? That is my advice. Meet people. Meet people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Norma. While we wait for more people, I also encourage you all to share while you all were researching in the last 2 weeks. If you came across anything in your cities, which, as Dr. Norma said, she's not well aware about how India is currently dealing with the whole plastic crisis. So I'm sure she would love to know also from our end, what are the things that you have read upon in your, say, whether you're in Dubai or even in India? What is it that you came across during your research? You can also share in that. Meanwhile, Dr. Norma, there's a question that's in the chat. Ayushman has written that California was the first state to pass a law that banned single-use plastic bags, but the plastics industry and bag manufacturers have collected enough signatures to put the ban to a referendum in November 2016. How can we effectively fight this?
Well, that is a big issue. You can read now for the plastics, again the plastics. I heard one time in the Senate, one man who came to me and he said, "Doctor, you are talking about against plastics. I have a company. I have an industry of plastics. What I can do?" I said, "You need to innovate. You need to change." And he said, "Yeah, but it's very difficult because I will lose so much money." I said, "No. Take the example of other countries in Europe. Take the example of France. In France, they said in one day, no more plastics in the supermarkets. No more plastics." Then when I came back to France, I went to the supermarket and I said, "Oh my God, how I will take everything that I bought. They don't have any plastic. I don't have any bag. They don't have any carton bags, nothing." I said, "Okay, thank you so much." I go back to my apartment to take something to bring my shoppings. Then decided to make in material some bags. And you buy it for €1, okay? And I have a lot in my house. And I don't use anymore. That is very simple. I told the man, you need to change your mind. You need to innovate. Instead of to make plastic bags, now you make material bags. And that is very simple. You're gonna sell it. You're gonna sell it. Because in the supermarkets, now in Spain, they start to do that because they said, okay, well, Spain is like, Mexico is like Spain because we were conquered by the Spanish, no? And the Spanish people, they don't care. They don't take any precaution to take something to go to the supermarket. But little by little, you need to do something. In my house, I have a son who is against plastic, like really so crazy. And then he decided to take out all the plastics, and now we have only containers in glass. No more, not anymore. It's like an obsession. I said, okay, we go to the supermarket with the containers in glass to buy the things that normally you cannot buy it. You need to think the little things that you can make at home, and you need to speak with the people who has some business with plastics to tell them how much we are damaging the countryside, because everything, when they say, no, but my city is 1,000 kilometers from the sea. What you are doing now in your country, in your city, 1,000 kilometers from the sea, later soon will go to the coastal area in your country or in another country. That you can be sure. Everything what we are doing in land will go to the sea. For that reason, the sea is like we see now, okay? Because everything what we are doing, this year in Durango, where we had the WSDF, the Sustainable Forum meeting, the UNEP lady representing Mexico was talking about to sign in Durango, that is in the middle of the forest, no, not tropical forest, the forest, no, very cold place, far away from the seaside, to sign an agreement about clean oceans. And the people said, clean oceans in Durango? That is so crazy. We don't have any coastal area here. And then we need to talk about why people in the cities can pollute the seaside. That is simple. Can run for the wind, the rivers, simple, the rain can take everything that is on land to the seaside. Then it's simple to think, but you need to say people also. You need to show people. For that reason, knowledge that what is going on, why is arriving to the sea. Take a look, all the masks that we are using now, where they are, on the coastal areas. In Mexico, I found that in the coral reef, in the Caribbean area, already. We found it. They found it in Hong Kong. Hundreds of masks on the coastal area in less than 50 meters of coast, of beach. What we are doing. And you are thinking about all the elements like the xenobiotics we call it, all the medicines that they are synthetics, where they are going, how they are polluting the water, or you know, the microplastics, the microfibers, the what they are using, the material for toothpaste, for the detergent to wash the clothes. They say, buy this soap for your clothes because we get white, really white. And you know why they get white? Not because they are cleaning your clothes. They get white because they have microspheres that with the light, they reflect the light and they look like your clothes is getting white, really, okay? Then you need to think about everything. The toothpaste is, they have this material because they they put your teeth white, but in reality, they are not whiter than before. Okay, that is what you need to think about. The real reason, what is behind what is going on.
Thank you, Dr. Norma. Dr. Norma, if it's all right, is it all right if we extend the session just by a few minutes beyond our time, maybe 5 minutes beyond, because there are 2-3 questions that have just come up, and we have Presidency who's just, if that's all right with you, Dr. Norma, just 5 minutes extension of time. Is that okay?
Don't worry, for me, not a problem. It's too early.
Dr. Ash, is it all right with you? Just 5 minutes. You've just taken some.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ash.
Yes.
So Presidency, your
Thank
hand
you.
is raised, so please go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell, I wanted to share about the activity. So basically in our school there's this, it's not actually called a policy, but like I consider it as one. So there was this initiative taken by one of the kids in my class, like last year. So we always used in some fairs or some carnivals we had in our schools. We used to have the disposable plates and all the cutleries. So then there was this girl who made a policy kind of thing where everybody brings their own tiffin box, which was named like, as in Hindi, bring your own dabba. So like that, everybody, all the teachers and all the students used to bring their own tiffin boxes, and that's that's like very effective right now also. But due to the pandemic, there's no such fair kind of thing. So, but earlier we used to follow this policy every time in every carnival or fair. So yeah, I feel this is an effective policy in our school.
Congratulations, yes, of course. Yeah, you call it a policy, of course, because your school build up that kind of behavior in the community of the school. And that is something very, very good because people is following. That is what we say is the basis of something bigger. You are given example. You are given how to work, how to behave, how to be more conscious of the situation and how to spread this example. That, just like you say, is not a public policy because the government didn't do it. But in reality, it's a policy that your school is taking in hands to show, to teach, to change a behavior that will be spread around you, even in your houses. Congratulations. Yes, I think that I saw a video. You sent the video, Ash? She sent the video through Pop, I think, from a school where they are working, taking and separating things. Yeah, congratulations, Prayasi. Thank you
I
so much.
like this was just one policy. Then we also have this pantry where we need to give coupons and buy the food. So in that also earlier we had popcorn. We were provided with popcorn in plastic bags. Right now, like for then they started our school started to bring like put it in paper bags and provide the popcorn to us. But still, like there's this mambra and other snacks which are still in plastic, and the school is trying to avoid that also. So it's still in process, but those popcorn and all of that, they are giving their best in that also.
Okay, that is wonderful. I will go to your school because I like popcorns, not salty, but I like it in sugar, with sugar. Then I will go to your school to get my popcorns one day. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yes, of
Dr.
course.
Norma. Thank you, Presi. Pavani, you had raised your hand. Do you want to go and ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. It's kind of the same as what Prayasi was saying. In Dubai, they said in last year they put a policy that in school canteens, plastic shall be reduced.
Okay.
So KHDA, so it's kind of like an education system in Dubai. So they said that they chose some schools where the canteens would go completely without plastic.
Excellent.
And one of those schools were our school, James Modern Academy. So the funny thing was our principal, like, okay, they changed like almost most of the things by giving us salads in these cardboard containers, and for water we would go into the cooler and get our own glass and stuff. But then for utensils they used to give us plastic. So
Yeah.
I'm into art, and so me and some of my friends, what we did was we made a separate bin where people would throw the plastic utensils, and then we would, like, the next day we would wash all the utensils with the help of the staff members there in the school. And we finally made like this big sculpture with all the plastic utensils.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a certificate, and yeah.
That's amazing. I'm reminded about an interesting couple of cases. Dr. Norma knows about them. In fact, at universities, pretty large ones in Mexico, where several of our pop teams came up with ideas exactly, similar to what you described. And so they created an incentivization. So, you would earn points and get lower, have to pay less to eat within, the cafeteria setting. And there'd be a separate line. So in fact, one of them was called eco-fila. Fila is like a line.
Yeah.
So they'd stand in the eco-fila, which would be they carry their own reusable, dishes and so on. And they would actually earn points for it. And a really interesting example, which I'll share with you here in a jiffy. I'll get that link out. You remember Anna, Priyanka. Anna, in fact, when in the initial few interactions, this was some years ago, when she was at university, what they did was that they spent a few weekends mobilizing students en masse to clear up all the single-use plastic that have been trashed. And they ended up collecting tons. This article that I'll post here, and it has a video link so you can watch it, collected like tons of it over a few weekends. And then they recruited this amazing artist who decided to work with them, and they created an exhibit on campus. Oh my goodness, it was mind-blowing. And the amazing thing was that like they had bottle caps, they had all kinds of single-use plastic that have been trashed, turned into the most exquisite exhibits. Yeah. And the most beautiful thing about it was that I still remember there was this huge shark.
Yeah.
Created this gigantic shark out of it. And so people were, it's also to create an appreciation for what nature has to offer. And so, Pavani, I'm going to say, like, keep the creative ideas coming. I know Meenakshi has some thoughts too. Yes. It's great. Just, it's amazing how, and you can you can not only like mobilize people, but create incentive, in cafeteria settings like this. These are creative approaches, but people come on board. And it just takes a little bit of thinking outside the box, and things can happen. And that art exhibit, in fact, is now at the studio of the artist, and whenever the university wants it, they exhibit it. I'm going to drop you the link, but I think these are amazing ideas. You guys have some incredible thoughts, and act on them, keep them coming. I think something to be really proud of.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Pavani, what you can do is maybe you can share a picture of your artwork with us so that we can also have a look at what you've done and share it to give out more ideas. And of course, Dr. Ash is also sharing what Anna has done, and we'd love to see it. So since we're very, very close on ending time, Meenakshi has shared quickly, I'll just read it. She has written that a few of my neighbors try to avoid plastic and go eco-friendly, but have certain limits where they have to ignore their decisions. Even there is a recycling center in the park. The world isn't taking much action as plastic has turned number one, has become important to us. And even if they try to avoid it, there are certain limits to it where they are forced to use plastic. Also, people in the current world don't have time to go behind these things. And one day when I was walking to a restaurant, I saw masks and gloves thrown on the street. I was shocked to see how wrongly the plastic has been disposed. I feel we should release a strict rule which states plastic needs to be disposed in the right way.
Yeah.
So yes, that is one. And of course, Stuti has another question. So what I'll do is I saw Prakriti had raised her hand, and that will be the final comment we will have. And then I request all of you to mail us your questions. So I will send it to Dr. Ash and Dr. Norma. And if they have I hope they have the time. And if they can, I'll ask them to respond to your questions directly over email as we have time constraint. But Prakriti, is there something you wanted to say? Because I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question that during this pandemic, which has been going on, everybody, as Meenakshi said, everybody's been throwing masks everywhere. So what do you think we should make policies that everybody should follow to make sure that either they reduce the usage of plastic or plastic masks, or they find an alternative to using masks? I just wanted to ask.
Well, first of all, you need to know that United Nations sent already a policy where they say what we can do in this pandemic when we use masks and gloves. That is already done. I have the link, or I'm sure that I have it also. And we know exactly how we need to do, what we need to do, and where we need to do. In our countries, of course, this situation show up like this, unexpected. But what I wanted to say about this message that somebody sent through the chat, that is true. You can find out even in the street, and that is incredible. What you do with your mask, where you put it. I ask you, each of you, where you put the mask, the single-use mask, where you put it, the logic answer is in the waste. And that is a big error. It's not in the waste. What I do, first of all, I have my own, because I bought even, I bought with the indigenous communities. Now they are making masks, beautiful ones with brother is extraordinary. I bought it to help them and to protect it. Then you can wash it directly. You don't need to buy it. You can wash, you can make yourself your own mask. Don't buy it anymore, because there are millions of masks using every day around the world. What we gonna have is pollution. And if you see what, like somebody said, I was walking and I saw in my neighborhood, I saw already masks on the floor, and that is terrible. Because you have a hospital, 2 hospitals near my home. What I do when I was using, I said to my doctor, I go directly to the hospital, I go inside, and I put in the waste there in the hospital my mask. Because I know that they will put it in the right place after that. But people is not thinking. It's a normal reaction. Then my advice is to prepare to make yourself your own mask in materials. You need to have a double how you call it, capa? Ash? In
Layers. You
layers,
need
sorry.
two layers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 layers, and then is good. You can use some. Don't put that kind of horrible thing that you put it in your
Visor.
front.
It's a
Yeah,
visor.
in front of your face, because the thing that you need to cover is your eyes. Finally, use some gloves only like this. Yes, or gloves, some glasses only like this. Don't use the other one, because what you are doing when you cough or when you send out, or your breathing is going through the sides. That is not really, that is keeping here, that is impossible, because the speed of your breathing and so is very strong. It's very, very quickly. You are spreading everything in 40 meters, for instance. Then use it like this. You can use a double mask if you want, but always make it in materials. That is.
Well, I just want to say that yes, WHO has said that is fine, and in fact, one of the issues with buying a mask is that you can't really reuse most of them, because they are the ones that are like the N95 or whatever, because those are risks in fact as far as infection goes. So they are disposable, and so yeah, this is another reason to avoid those, and have masks that are washable, which are definitely acceptable. Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Norma, and
Yeah.
I appreciate the question.
Yeah. So I think just
Thank you.
Meenakshi has responded saying that we can use only cloth masks, but plastic masks are safer. We can try to make the cloth mask as safe as surgical plastic masks. So I think yes, that's
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I know I've taken way beyond time than we had promised, but the conversation is so interesting that there are so many questions that even I have. One closing question that maybe I just pose it and we leave it open-ended so we can maybe get the response from Mayor is, Stuti has asked, how can we effectively convince our government for the same? I think that's a lot of problems we face. Like you had mentioned that you had a 20-year journey with the policy.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
The question was, how can we convince our government for the same, like to support policymaking?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we can definitely have that open-ended. And what we can do is I request all of you to send in your activities that you had researched upon and the questions that you had for Dr. Norma and Dr. Ash over email. And I'm hoping you all had as an enriching session that I personally had. And it's been such a great learning experience even for me. So thank you so much, Dr. Norma. Sarfaraz, is there anything that you want to say? I'm sorry I didn't come to you.
No. I was very happy to listen to you, to learn from you, of course, because we learned from each other, of course, everybody. And every time life is continuous learning every day. And that's it. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah.
I keep in touch with you through Priyanka. If you want to send me some questions, comments, please feel free to do it.
Sarfaraz,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you, Dr. Norma.
Sorry. It was great. I think so for the children. Sorry, Dr. Ash. Just wanted to thank Norma for all her help and wisdom. I think so for the children, it was a great eye opener, and also for them to know what it takes to influence at a national level. So it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarfaraz. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Norma. Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for taking out the time. I will mail you all the questions, and I encourage all the participants to do so too. And we will also keep you updated, Dr. Norma, as to what we are doing and how we are going forward with the program.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And,
thank you.
Hope you have a wonderful
have a good day, a good weekend
ahead.
Too, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
I
for
go to bed now.
Yes.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
And see you really soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Good day. Prakriti, thank you. Meenakshi,
Bye.
Priyasi, everybody, Stuti, all of you.
Nice to meet you. See
Thank
you.
Bianca, many thanks.
Thank
Arohi,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Kazi, thank